We're back in British Columbia's Golden Triangle for another episode of DD on the Go. But rather than be on the hunt for silver like recent episodes, this time we're after the metal that has given this region of the province its moniker, gold. And well, there are many claims to fame that have been made in this region of the world. We wanted to bring you the best of the best. So we called up Goliath Resources, one of the hottest exploration stage names in the market right now, to get the lowdown on exactly what was going on in their corner of the world. Welcome back. Let's dive in. British Columbia is no stranger to gold. The yellow metal is essentially responsible for the creation of what we now know as British Columbia. Following a discovery in modern-day British Columbia in 1857 within the Fraser River region, the area was subjected to a gold rush that brought many American explorers to the area. As prospectors traveled further inland in the years to come, more gold rushes ensued, including the Caribou Rush of the 1860s, which is credited with the development of British Columbia's interior. Since the initial discovery of gold in the area over a century and a half ago, more than 150 mines have operated within this coveted region. Today, the production of gold is ongoing from Newmont's Red Chris and Brucejack mines, while Ascot Resources has had the Premier and Red Mountain mines in and out of production in recent years. Others too, such as Scotty Resources, are nearing production through unique methods, while late-stage development projects such as Seabridge's KSM project and Skeena's Eskay Creek project promise vast riches should production be achieved. All of this is to say that exploration is alive and well in British Columbia, and we're here to see one of the newest discoveries the region has to offer. One of the freshest discoveries in the Triangle dates back to 2020, when Goliath Resources collected channel samples at a small property known as Golddigger, which is found to the northwest of Kitsault, BC. That sampling program saw assays come in at 5.4 grams per ton gold over 8.4 meters, including 12.7 grams per ton gold over 3.4 meters. Other samples collected in the vicinity, meanwhile, included a 2-meter chip sample that assayed 4.4 grams per ton gold and a 1-meter chip sample that assayed out at 49.5 grams per ton gold within massive sulfide lenses. That discovery was referred to as the Sherbet Zone. And while they may have not known it at the time, that discovery set them on a path of exploration success within the southern portion of the Golden Triangle.
From the original channel cutting program, it was quite exciting. We had a high-grade gold over, double-digit gold numbers over double-digit widths. And the fact that we had 2 kilometers of mineralization wrapping around this mountain with 700 meters of vertical relief.
An inaugural drill program was undertaken in 2021 following that discovery, which marked the first holes to drill test a mountain that was previously inaccessible due to glacial cover. A 5,300-meter drill program was undertaken, which had highlight intercepts of 6.4 grams per ton gold equivalent over 35.7 meters in hole 2103, alongside 12.6 grams per ton gold equivalent over 6.4 meters in hole 2105. On top of that, the average intersection across the entire 24-hole program was 6.29 grams per ton gold equivalent over 5.87 meters, while an extension target was found 500 meters to the southeast. The drill program was a massive success, especially for a maiden program, cementing the fact that a new major discovery had been made in the Triangle.
I think our last hole that we drilled, because initially we were drilling quite close to the outcropping mineralized zone of Sherbet, and then we stepped out 1.1 kilometers to the west, and that hole hit as well. So once obviously that happened, and which delivered decent results, it was a pretty exciting moment for sure.
Success of that program enabled the company to raise $14.6 million from the public markets to fuel further exploration, while Crescat Capital nearly doubled their stake in the company to 19.9% after initially taking a stake in late 2020. But Goliath was just getting started. The following year, they drilled 60 holes across 24,000 meters. In 2023, they drilled a further 29,000 meters across 98 holes, followed by 34,000 meters across 67 holes last year. And now this year, they are planning for a massive 60,000 meters of drilling, of which, as of us being here on site, was at 28,000 meters of completion. The program is so big that we had to repeatedly pause recording because helicopters kept bringing in more core to be processed, drowning out our interviews. As of the end of last season, a total of 92,000 meters of drilling had occurred within 249 drill holes. Impressively, and which is almost hard to believe because it's an insane statistic, of those 249 holes, each and every hole has intersected mineralization, a 100% hit rate. And of all those meters drilled in 2024, 94% had visible gold that could be seen by the naked eye.
You can see the mineralization for 2 kilometers. You know, I think if you're prospecting somewhere on a flatter type terrain where you have no idea what's happening below, you're drilling a geophysical fantasy target. Sometimes the magic works, sometimes it doesn't. We could actually see the mineralization and the elevation part and parcel. So we're, extremely lucky to have found this, because this is a grassroots discovery, never been drilled before until we came along.
As it currently stands, gold mineralization has confirmed a mineralized area that measures over 1.8 square kilometers in size, which contains 12 extensive vertically stacked bonanza-grade veins that have been traced over 1.2 kilometers. The mineralized area remains open in all directions, with drilling having happened on 100-meter spacing throughout. A total of 6 zones have been identified at the Sherbet Discovery, including Sherbet, Goldzilla, Bonanza, Eldorado, Whopper, and Golden Gate. Talk about good marketing, right? No resource exists on the property just yet. But in talking to CEO Roger Rosmus, the reason for that is simple. They're still heavily exploring to see what is there. And when the time is right, they want to blow the doors off this thing with an absolutely massive resource. The obvious comparison here in terms of massive exploration opportunity is Great Bear, who got taken out by Kinross in 2022 for 1.8 billion Canadian dollars. They were acquired after what basically amounted to 5 years of hard exploration. They were based in the Red Lake region, so exploration could happen year-round, making things a little bit easier than their peers in the Golden Triangle. At the time of acquisition, a total of 340,000 meters had been drilled across 794 holes. Total exploration spend was in the area of $64 million based on our estimates, which translated to $12.76 per ounce of gold that was reported as being in the ground post-Kinross takeover. Although that figure doesn't include $75 million in spend by Kinross in the following year, which takes that estimate up to about $27.68 an ounce. In 2023, that project was estimated to contain 5 million ounces, making it one of the largest discoveries in recent history, at least within Canada. The other major discovery in recent years is Newfound Gold and their Queensway project, which saw a total exploration spend of $274 million for an initial MRE of 2 million ounces on the nose. That discovery translated to $137 in spend per ounce in the ground, with the MRE being based on something like 723,000 meters of drilling. So how does this compare to Goliath? Well, through to the end of 2024, Goliath had drilled 92,000 meters across a total of 294 holes. But given the location, that basically translates to 16 months of exploration, versus 72 months at the time of Great Bear's takeout, and roughly 5 years for Newfound Gold to go from discovery to MRE. In other words, Goliath is on a bit of an accelerated pace here on a relative basis. And while there is no MRE here, exploration spend is currently sitting at $64 million, which is from 2019 through to the 9 months ended March 31st, 2025. As I said, no MRE is out just yet. So for this, I'll defer to junior mining analyst Taylor Cambaluzer over at Red Cloud, who in March updated his inventory model suggesting 4 to 6 million ounces of gold exists at the Sherbet Discovery. Taking the low end of that estimate puts Goliath at exploration spend of $15.93 per ounce, while the high end places them at $10.62 an ounce. And if you want to suggest as much as 8 million ounces exists here, which is what some analysts have previously suggested, well, that would place the current cost of exploration at about $7.97 an ounce. One thing I should probably touch on here briefly is the style of mineralization being found at the Golddigger property, because it's unique. The Sherbet Discovery consists of a large gold-rich layered system that is basically associated to a mother-lode intrusive source and multiple gold-rich feeder dikes. The Colorado School of Mines has confirmed that a causative intrusion is responsible for the mineralized system here, including Eocene-aged dikes, which to the layman sounds like a bunch of words with no meaning. You know, I'm speaking English, but I might as well be speaking Mandarin. So we asked one of the geos on site, and this is what he had to say.
And you crack the top, the bubbles come out of the beer, right? Well, an intrusion is sort of like that, where it rises out of the earth, the pressure changes, and now you have bubbles coming up. But instead of in your beer where it's carbon dioxide, it's a mix of water, acid, carbon dioxide, and dissolved metals.
The other interesting part here is that mineralization is being found in the Eocene rock package, meaning it is 51 to 52 million years old, which previously was believed to contain no gold mineralization, at least across British Columbia. So Goliath is breaking new ground in that regard. There's some other bits here that we could get into related to this host rock, but that's the high level. Oh, and there's VG, lots of VG. By now, you're probably thinking to yourself, but Steve, if this asset is so good, why have no majors bought in? And my answer to that is, well, they seem to be circling, or at least high net worth investors are, which implies that this thing has captured a lot of attention from all of the right people. As of the time of recording, Goliath has about 162 million shares outstanding after having just raised 27 million bucks. Aside from management owning a little over 20% of the company, major investors include Crestcat Capital at 12.2%, some strategics at 9.9%, Global Commodity Group at 5%, McEwen Mining at 4.8%, and Waratah Capital Advisors at 4.3%. Goliath has also lured Rob McEwen to personally invest, who holds 3.2%. While Eric Sprott holds a 2% interest and Larry Childress holds 1%, which leaves a little over 37% of the total shares outstanding for retail investors, which in the junior markets is not a lot. And as far as analysts go, both Beacon and Stifel have Goliath on their watch list, with analysts from the latter actually joining us for our site visit. That should give you a sense of how serious they are. But these analysts and major investors are a bit different than retail. They often are able to see the bigger picture, partially as a result of experience and partially because, let's face it, they have better access to talk to people in the know. And in the case of Goliath, there is one major bigger picture aspect that sets them apart from pretty well any other explorer out there, and that is the town of Kitsault. Our longtime followers may recognize the name of this town because we've addressed it in some of our other content. But Kitsault, BC is perhaps one of the weirdest footnotes in the history of Canadian mining. It's a company town that was established in the late 1970s to serve a molybdenum mine that 3 years later went broke when the price of moly crashed. It was bought up by an investor in the early 2000s who, to our understanding, was basically betting on the future of the region as a whole, and has been maintaining it ever since. And Goliath rents out a sizable portion of it, creating quite literally one of the most comfortable exploration camps on the planet. For our stay, we had our own apartment rooms. Where else do you get that?
They're like tent camps, and they're nice. It's just that we have been given an unlimited budget to give the very best to the fuel of the clients, so that all the guys and the girls that are working here are getting the best food that they can so that they can have the energy to fuel themselves, right?
Oh, this is 5 stars for drilling. This is 5 stars. This is amazing. The accommodations at this place are top notch. Like, you don't get this anywhere else in any other. This is the best camp we ever been in drilling in what, 20 plus years, Brian? Like,
Yep.
Really, this is amazing accommodations. Like,
Anyways, our assumption is that when Sherbet finally gets turned into a mine, this entire town, filled with infrastructure, will be bought out for pennies on the dollar relative to what it would take to recreate it, saving Goliath, or whoever buys them out, tens of millions of dollars in the process. Not to mention, there's a permitted mill site in the area, and the town itself sits on tidewater with barge access.
And then with a lot of Sherbet and Bonanza being above the valley floor, that saves you a lot of time and money because it can just be gravity fed. You just need to blast a rock and then it's all gravity fed. Whereas if you're looking at something like Foran, it's a great deposit, but then you have to go 600 meters down into the ground, process the ore, then ship that all up to surface. Whereas here, you just let gravity do the work for you.
All right, let's wrap things up here. Goliath is proof that discovery is alive and well in the mining sector, particularly in the Golden Triangle. On top of Sherbet, they've also got plenty of further targets to explore, whether you're talking Treasure Island, way to the north of the Golddigger property that has grown to 92,000 hectares, or the Blue Origin target that is found 4.5 kilometers to the south of Sherbet, which is believed to be related in some way. From what we can tell, Goliath's going about things the right way here. 2025's drill program of 60,000 meters is focused entirely on Sherbet, where Goliath is looking to prove out a high-grade zone. That zone, while again no resource exists, is intended to show to majors, hey, there's an opportunity to quickly repay initial capex should you choose to build a mine here.
The idea if we can possibly prove out maybe 1 million ounces or more, essentially on the back of the envelope with greater certainty or certainly higher confidence that anyone can calculate that off the back of the envelope. And every senior miner is looking for that first 1 million ounces high grade material that will pay for the capex out of the gate.
Which at least to me demonstrates there's a larger strategy going on here, and that this isn't a case of the Never Never program that some peers seem to be on. Something that the mining sector at large is in sore need of. All right, everybody, thanks for watching.